Welcome to 10 Talks, real conversations with champions for champions. I'm your host, Emily Love.
And I'm Carlette Patterson, your head sports life coach. And the desired outcome of our real conversations for champions with champions is to share our passion for sports life coaching. We want to get you coached, and our purpose for training you for a life that you love is we want to connect you to what matters to you in your life and the power of being a champion in your own life. A champion life is a 10 life. Hi, team. As we reflect on season 1, we feel incredibly blessed that we have had the opportunity to sit down with so many champions in lives and just share their life journey and really introduce you, our champion listener, to our philosophy of sports life coaching and also just that living in a 3-dimensional life. And so for us, the way we define 3D is in your personal life, it's for significance. In your professional life, it's for success. And in your philanthropic life, it's for service. And making sure that we're coaching you, that's what's important to us, is that we make all of our conversations about how can we serve and support you. When you think about starting to live a 3D life, we want you to be able to define what is your definition of success professionally? What is your definition of significance personally? And what is your definition of service philanthropically? Well, we're going to dive into really exploring that philanthropic dimension as we think about how do we do that if we're not about giving money or about giving time? How can we in our lives, whether we're a student, whether we're a parent, wherever we are in life, how can we be a championship giver? Our guest today that we want to share with you is Jackie Miller, and she's a parent, and she really shared with us how she can introduce being a championship giver to her kids. I just want you to hear how the power of giving hope can actually make us really happy. And who's not looking for a little happiness right now in life?
Let's talk about the philanthropic service component, because Jackie, you have been amazing at really coaching up your boys to see that it's not all about them and that we're really connected to this beautiful community. And how did you implement philanthropy into your family?
Well, actually, when Carlette and I first met, that's how we met, is through an organization we created called Sports Superheroes. And Blake was I think they were both in middle school at the time, or Blake might have just started high school. And we created this whole organization around helping give hope through a group of student athletes. So that's how the journey started. I've always been a very philanthropic person and always involved in charities and always in volunteering, so I've been modeling that. But this was the first that they really got involved. And we did a walk for hope for Phoenix Children's Hospital and a Cape Crusade. CJ, even in middle school, went and made a presentation to a local business person who gave, I think, a $5,000 scholarship sponsorship at the time. And they really started to learn the benefits of giving to others.
That is so inspiring. How do you notice that it changes them and just their spirit? You know, we talk a lot about how giving hope gives us endorphins and oxytocin and stuff. Can you speak on how you see that change their demeanor and, you know, maybe their perspectives on their own lives?
Oh, it's very dramatic in terms of the endorphins. I mean, it's as dramatic to me as when the kids go out the door for whatever they're doing and they don't feel good and they're going to work out or they're going to practice and they come home just completely different, literally completely different attitude. They've worked out and their endorphins have been released. That's how they come back from the community service. I mean, they leave the car one person and they come back when I pick them up as a totally different person.
All right, team, it's your turn. You got to hear how Jackie really coached up her family to give hope and just the power and transformation that happened with that. I want to introduce to you really how we came up with this Give Hope philosophy and really what it means and how you too can be a champion for change and give hope. So this is all based on an introduction to sports philanthropy and really thinking about when we use the word community service or philanthropy, so many times what comes to mind is I don't have time for this, or how can it be one more thing, or I don't have enough money even for the bills I'm paying, much less how do I really give to other people. So we're going to challenge you this week as you practice being a championship giver and really think about this third dimension in your personal life with your friends and your family. How can you give hope? And what does that mean to you? So we want you to be able to define what giving hope means to you and just start to practice it. And so what we did is we started to really train to be these champions for change is we thought about how could we make giving hope and that philanthropic component kind of like a game. So the game that we came up with, it's called Give Hope, Get Happy. And I want to introduce to you this concept and really our team roster. So on our Give Hope, Get Happy team roster, cortisol is our opponent. And cortisol is released when we feel stress, anxiety, we're scared, or we're nervous. And I'm sure we've all played plenty of life with cortisol rushing through us. So what happens when cortisol is released is that we don't feel safe, we don't feel included, and that's when we get this rush of cortisol. So too much cortisol actually lowers our immune system. It can make us feel sick, and it could even cause us to gain weight. Huge performance barrier as far as I'm concerned, team. So what else happens when that cortisol is part of our life? Well, it interferes with learning. It interferes with remembering. It reduces the amount of endorphins that are produced. So team, I want you to think about cortisol as the opponent on this game of life that we're playing. I want to introduce the team roster that we want as much playing time as possible. So that's going to be endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. So endorphins are all about, it's a natural antidepressant, which really helps us to feel happy. And endorphins help us deal with physical pain, and they reduce the feeling of depression. So how are we going to get these endorphins to have some playing time in our life? Well, exercise is a huge winning strategy. We only need 30 minutes of physical activity to really improve our learning and our memory. Another great winning strategy to get endorphins in our life is laughing, finding joy in the little things and laughing as often as possible. Endorphins, another winning strategy for endorphins is fun. Really stay happy and healthy by finding fun in the little things that you do. Another person on our Give Hope, Get Happy team is dopamine. And this is what tells our brains that we're doing a good job and gives us a feeling of accomplishment. This is something that we can get when we volunteer. So when we help those in need, or even if we just have the thought of kindness, it gives us a dose of dopamine. Another thing that is powerful for getting a dopamine release is making lists. Every time we write up a list and we check something off, we're actually releasing dopamine, which is a huge winning strategy. And another winning strategy for dopamine is victory. Playing a game, scoring a point, winning. It's those small victories that really add up to a great release of dopamine. Our third team roster player is serotonin. And serotonin really sends the message to our brain that helps us to relax and concentrate. It's often referred to as the leadership chemical. And if we live in the moment and have positive thoughts and do our favorite things, we're releasing serotonin. A couple other things that we can do to really get that serotonin as much playing time as possible in our life is public recognition. When you volunteer and you get acknowledged for it, it gives you a surge of serotonin. Another thing that's great for a serotonin surge is sunshine. Enjoy the outdoors. Get out and get happy. Happy thoughts just by giving yourself a pep talk that sends to your brain a positive message that actually releases the serotonin. Our fourth player on our team roster is oxytocin. And oxytocin is released as a result of physical touch, generosity, kindness, and being trusted. It's also known as the trust hormone, and high levels of oxytocin make us better problem solvers and increase our creativity. We get a lot of oxytocin when we're hanging out with our pets. You know, when we're petting our pets and you just wonder, why in the world do I feel so good when I'm with my pets? Well, when we pet our pets, we're producing oxytocin. Another way to get oxytocin playing time on our life team is all about eye contact. When we look at people when we're talking to them, it builds trust. Volunteering is another way to get oxytocin in our life, those acts of generosity without really expecting anything in return. That's when we give hope and get happy. And also physical contact, those high fives or hugs or petting our pets. It's a great way to get oxytocin released. So team, I want to coach you up this week in the skill of give hope and get happy. We want to get as much endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. We want them to have as much playing time in your game of life as possible. You heard Jackie talk about how she really worked with her family and with her boys. They'd get in the car one minute and they'd be really grumpy, and they'd go and they'd give hope, and all of a sudden they showed back up completely different. There's a perfect example of you getting to watch how Give Hope can make you happy. So this week, it's all up to you. We want to see how you can give hope. Get out and practice with your friends and family, exercising, laughter, having fun, eye contact, sunshine, happy thoughts, volunteering. All these things really add up to that Give Hope, Get Happy philosophy. And if you want to make a list and check it off every time you give hope, you're going to get another way of feeling happy. Team, we hope we have gotten you inspired to really understand that third dimension, and we want you practicing giving hope and getting happy this week. So if you'd like to get coached and understand more how to really practice being a championship giver, go to lifetrainingacademy.com so that we can get you connected to our coaches. And if you'd like to hear the entire 10 Talks that Jackie shares her journey and her story about being a champion for change, go to lifetrainingacademy.com to hear her story.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget, tune in next week and head over to iTunes and Spotify and hit subscribe.
Remember, a championship life is a 10 life. You matter. Your life matters. Create a life that you love. Give hope to others and be and choose nothing but 10s. Be you. The world needs you. Go to lifetrainingacademy.com.